I just want to make sure. I just don't want it to like go. I can send anything that you're talking about. So. Okay. Do that a little bit.
Testing. 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 Test. Thank you.
morning. Glad to see you all here. My name is Debbie Rehart, and I share leadership of today's service with Jim Handshaw, Corey Ness, Director of, make sure I get this right, hold on, Director of Lifespan Education. Lifespan Faith Development. Thank you, Lifespan Faith Development, thank you. Yvonne Duvall, Director of Music Ministries, is that right? Cool, yay. Accompanist, Chris Emke, right? Okay, cool. Song leader, Rima Cameron. And tech people, David Spear, Andy Beck, and Kyle Petrus. We welcome you to celebrate the transformative power of religious community. Whoever you are, wherever you live, whomever you love, whatever you do for a living, you're welcome here. We invite you to join us for coffee hour following the service, either downstairs here in the church or on Zoom, online or in person. We're glad you're here.
You all to rise and body your spirit as we sing our opening hymn, number 188, Come, Come, Whoever You Are. Choir members, I would love some assistance up here. Song were written by Sufi mystic Jalal ad-Din Muhammad Rumi. When Rumi was just a small boy, he had to flee his homeland because of political unrest and impending war. He traveled with his family to what must have seemed like the other ends of the earth and settled down in the city of Konya, where he grew up to become a religious teacher to people of many traditions, but deeply grounded in his Sufi Muslim faith. As we sing this song of welcome, this song of invitation and hospitality, let's remember that it was written by an undocumented immigrant. It was written by a Muslim political refugee fleeing violence and seeking to build a community of love and safety. Let's invite each other into this place of love and safety and think of those who are still in search of such a place.
One
We light the chalice to the words of Barbara Hamilton Hallway. Let there be quiet time among us. Spirit of life in us and around us, here is our chance, once again, to live like we wish the world would live. May we find within ourselves the courage to be who we are. May we know when it is time to listen and when it is time to speak. May we trust ourselves to be the ones to find the words that need to be said or to do what needs to be done. May we trust one another and know there are many ways to go through life. May we know that though we cannot change some of what life gives to us, we can choose how we deal with what we are given. We are coming into our power, and together we can make possible justice and love. We are all connected. We depend upon one another more than we know. We are one body. So be it. Blessed be. Amen.
Good morning. Today's story is titled I Am Human, from author Susan Verde and illustrator Peter Reynolds. They're the best-selling team that created I Am Love that I read to you just 2 weeks ago. And I have to tell you, I am a huge fan of the I Am series that celebrates every human. It's just Peter Reynolds, he just draws such wonderful, or illustrates such wonderful, whimsical pictures in the book, and there's such a lovely message in the end. So the book is about a journey of being human, one that is full of challenges, but it is also a journey full of possibilities. This book brings us a hopeful celebration of the human family, which affirms that even though we may make mistakes, we can make good choices by acting with compassion and having empathy for others. And sometimes this is a hard one for ourselves. When we find common ground, we feel connected to the great world around us and mindfully strive to be our best selves. Let's begin our story. I was born, a miracle. I am human. I am always learning. I'm finding my way and choosing my path on this incredible journey. I have big dreams. I see possibility. I have endless curiosity. I make discoveries. I have a feeling of wonder. I am amazed by nature. I have a playful side. I find joy in friendships. I am human. But being human means that I am not perfect. I make mistakes. I can hurt others with my words, my actions, and even my silence. I can be hurt too. I can be fearful of things that I don't yet understand, and timid to try something new. I have a heavy heart when I feel sadness. I am human. But then I remind myself that because I am human, I can make choices. I can move forward. A poor choice can become a better choice. Let me repeat that. A poor choice can become a better choice with thoughtfulness. A bad day can become a great day with kindness. I can act with compassion and lend a helping hand. I can treat others with equality and be fair. I can choose not to fight, but instead listen to find common ground, and I can say, I'm sorry, and ask for forgiveness. I am human, one of billions, but unique. I am not alone. I am connected to my friends, to my family. We are all humans together. And I will keep trying to be the best version of me. I am full of hope. I am human. And now we will sing our children to their classes where they will be painting or tie-dyeing t-shirts.
A reading entitled All That We Share is Sacred by Andre Moll. As we gather together, may we remember, when you share with me what is most important to you, that is where listening begins. When I show you that I hear you, when I say that your life matters, that is where compassion begins. When I open the door to greet you, that is where hospitality begins. When I venture out to bring you to shelter, that is where love begins. When I risk my comfort to ease your suffering, when I act against hatred, violence, and injustice, that is where courage begins. When we experience the full presence of each other because of our shared humanity, because of our differences, that is where holy gratitude begins. May this space be a table that is not complete until all are welcome. May this table be a space of beauty where together we create a series of miracles and where all that we share is sacred. May it be so.
Let us open our hearts and minds now to the time of meditation and prayer, a time to give expression to our joys and sorrows. Life inevitably brings joys and sorrows, worries and triumphs. In community, we often find that sorrows shared are eased, and joys shared are multiplied. What burdens of worry or sorrow weigh heavily on you this morning? What joys or gratitude lift your heart? We invite you to share them now through writing them on a slip or typing them into the Zoom chat. Please indicate whether your message is okay to share out loud. You can also honor your joys and sorrows by placing a stone in the water of community. Please come up the middle aisle and return on the sides. Spoken or unspoken, our hearts join with yours in bearing and celebrating all that life brings. We have only two joys and sorrows. Lois Voigt writes, Libby Tisdale is having surgery to remove a mass on Tuesday and is also recovering from several small strokes. Visitation is limited right now because what she needs most is rest. Your prayers and good wishes are always welcome. And I have a special joy. Today, Mimi and I are celebrating our 57th anniversary. Debbie, would you place one more stone in the water of community, representing the joys and sorrows that remain silent in our hearts and minds? Thank you. May we quietly pause to remember the joys and sorrows of those who have spoken, those they have named, holding them in silence with our hearts. Amen, and blessed be. Please remain seated and join in our meditation hymn number 346, Come Sing a Song with Me. I begin with a prayer from Meister Eckhart, a German Catholic theologian and mystic in the 12th century. He said, if the only prayer you ever say in your entire life is thank you, that will be enough. Thank you. Thank you for mentoring my spiritual growth over the last 14 years at the Unitarian Church of Harrisburg. What a wonderful place to grow old as I continue my coming-of-age journey. Thank you for all the covenant meetings, which we shared our feelings. Thank you for allowing me to share music in the choir. What a joy last week as we gathered to practice after a summer break. Thank you for sharing breath and heartbeats with others in our heart rhythm meditation practice. Thank you for allowing me the privilege of articulating my thoughts in many member reflections and services. It took a while to have the courage to lead a service, starting with my 2016 service on my ego death. And I review it occasionally on YouTube. What you say here goes out to the world. It still resonates with me. I publicly came out of my ego closet. My ego didn't die, of course. I just stopped letting it define who I am. There's no I there. The best I can do with my ego is to LARP, L-A-R-P, which young people say is live action role playing. The ego, for me, is just a tool in man, the toolmaker's extraordinary tool chest. Hold that thought for a minute. During the 6 weeks I prepared for this sermon, I need a little time, I pondered the René Descartes quote, "I think, therefore I am." I never really understood that. I never felt it. How do I feel about that? What if the I in me is just feeling? Thus, I feel, therefore I am. I naively thought, I wonder if that's original. So I Googled it. First thing that came up, this story about Spinoza. In the middle of the 17th century, Spinoza took on Descartes and lost. According to Descartes' famous dualistic theory, human beings were composed of physical bodies and immaterial minds. Spinoza disagreed. In The Ethics, his masterwork published after his death in 1677, he argued that body and mind are not two separate entities, but one continuous substance. As for Descartes' view of the mind as a reasoning machine, Spinoza thought that was dead wrong. Reason, he insisted, is shot through with emotion. More radical still, he claimed that thoughts and feelings are not primarily reactions to external events, but first and foremost about the body. In fact, he suggested the mind exists purely for the body's sake, to ensure its survival. That was on the top of my Google thing. Next one down was for the I think, therefore I am, was a quote from Eve Ender, the author of the Vagina Monologues. My dream is that people will find a way back home, into their bodies, to connect with the earth, to connect with each other, to connect with the poor, to connect with the broken, to connect with the needing, to connect with people calling out all around us, to connect with the beauty, poetry, the wildness. The third search result was from the Maria Popova's brain pickings. I've been reading her stuff for years, and I missed this article. It was titled, "I Feel, Therefore I Am," which brought me to the neuroscientist Antonio Damasio on consciousness as a full-body phenomenon. We are not thinking machines that feel, he said. Rather, we are feeling machines that think. He's my age with a long academic career, and he's been hiding from me in plain sight. He says The distinction between diseases of brain and mind, between neurological problems and psychological or psychiatric ones, is an unfortunate cultural inheritance that permeates society and medicine. It reflects a basic ignorance of the relationship between the brain and the mind. Diseases of the brain are seen as tragedies visited on by people who cannot be blamed for their condition, while diseases of the mind, especially those that affect conduct and emotion, are seen as social inconveniences for which sufferers have much to answer. Individuals are to be blamed for their character flaws, defective emotional modulation, and so on. Lack of willpower is supposed to be the primary problem. I look forward to reading more about him in my life's work. I feel, therefore I am. Where else in this congregation has my feeling meter come alive? I'll start with my participation in our annual poetry reading services at UCH. Growing up a male and being a STEM major, I wasn't encouraged to have feelings. I finally felt the feeling power of poems for the first time right here. It is said that only poets and comets get closest to the truth. I read a poem by Maya Angelou, "Still I Rise." I felt her feelings. I felt her courage to express those feelings. And Walt Whitman, "The Leaves of Grass." I sing the body electric. I felt his connection to the earth. And E.E. Cummings, in a member reflection here, expounding on his comments on the difficulty of being a poet, he talked about feeling. Quote, "A poet is someone who feels and who expresses his feelings through words. This may sound not easy. It isn't. A lot of people think or believe or know they feel, but that's thinking or believing or knowing, not feeling. And poetry is feeling, not knowing or believing or thinking. Almost anybody can learn to think or believe or know, but not a single human being can be taught to feel. Why? Because whenever you think or you believe or you know, you're a lot like a lot of other people. But the moment you feel, you're nobody but yourself. To be nobody but yourself in a world which is doing its best day and night to make you everybody else means to fight the hardest battle which any human being can fight and never stop fighting." One of the insights I shared with my ego death sermon was a quote I shared with Gracie Allen. She was part of the Burns and Allen comedy team back in the mid-50s. She said, "When I was born, I was so happy I couldn't talk for a whole year." And I agree with her. The reason I think we didn't talk for a whole year was that we were so happy in all of the wonderful voyage of discovery ahead, a clean slate, if you will, discovering the world. And I feel when I inhaled that first breath of life, there was no ego there, a clean slate with potential, same as every other mammal born to a mother. Thanks, Mom. Yeah, I know someone named me, but I didn't know it until a year later. Oh, that is me. That is I. When Gracie and I were born, we couldn't talk for a whole year. We had no ego before we learned to talk. We did have immediate feelings. And I feel connected to that first breath with no ego. Sometime during that first year, my acquired ego started taking over at the expense of some of my feelings. Now, I know most of you find this assessment a little on the edge of delusions of grandeur. One needs to understand my past to understand why this is important today for my journey. My parents told me later in life that I asked a lot of questions as a child. and they would always add the comment, "Too many questions." I fully understand any busy parent being upset with an inquiring mind of a 3-year-old. So what I think happened was I stopped verbalizing questions, but I did not stop asking them to myself. Other questions continued in the background, increasing in intensity as I aged. They didn't take off again until after college, when I rediscovered libraries. This wasn't a class assignment. I wasn't told what to read. I could choose what to read. In the words of Joseph Campbell, I was following my bliss. That's when, to me, my real wisdom started. The late 60s, early 70s, I was reading Marshall McLuhan, Alan Watts, Carl Jung, Joseph Campbell, Ram Dawson, and anthropologist E.T. Hall. This was my part-time reading while working full-time for a living, married, helping to raise a family. Looking back on it, I felt at the time, I was starting to feel. Here's some notes I wrote 50 years ago. I've only shared these with Mimi. Oh, can't you see? Oh, can't you see? Words cannot explain the meaning of reality. We teach our children to act grown up at the age of 2 or 3, so how do you expect at the age of 30 to see any harmony? If I could feel my feelings, if I could find my soul, if I could put my mind at ease and explain the folly in my roles, then I would know the answers to the questions I seek to ask and live my life accordingly with the frustrations of my past. Searching for the meaning, the questing of my souls, the second-handed living with the acting in my roles. You got to realize that was a boomer generation. Don't trust anybody over 30. Is there anybody here under 30? There's one. Kyle, I trust you. Two quotes sum up where I am today in my journey. And I must admit these feelings aren't all the time, but as I age, they show up more and more. Carl Jung, the first half of life is devoted to forming a healthy ego. The second half is going inward and letting it go. And a quote from Bertrand Russell on how to grow old. Make your interests gradually wider and more impersonal until bit by bit the walls of the ego recede and your life becomes increasingly merged in the universal life. Thanks for your love and patience. I'll end with a smile story. My father was blessed with a long life. He was around 100 at the time, and we're talking as we walk back to his room at Bethany Village, a local retirement home. Two staff members passed us going the other way, smiling and saying, "Hi, Harper." We smiled back. He said to me, "I have no idea who those people are." I said, "Well, Pop, they love you here because you always smile. You share your problems with me, which you should. Some old people just aren't fun to be around. You are." So in his footsteps, I end with a smile. and a prayer. Thank you. Oops, that's me. It is? Wait a minute. I'm sorry. Where am I? Excuse me. Thank you.
Thanks, Jim. Thank you, Chris. Wow. wish I had something profound to say after that, but the Unitarian Church of Harrisburg is, as always, a freely gathered church of free people. The church is created, sustained, and supported by you. Each month, we share half of our Sunday plate with a local nonprofit organization. For the month of August, we're sharing with the Recycle Bicycle Harrisburg. Recycle Bicycle Harrisburg provides bicycles to those in need. It's located in Allison Hill. The organization primarily serves individuals and families with low income. If you wish to contribute online, visit uchbg.org for options. Your financial support and commitment matter. Please consider giving what you're able. These gifts are generously given and gratefully received. We affirm our mission to encourage, equip, and empower, and we ask that you join in the affirmation of our covenant with one another. Love is the spirit of this congregation, and service is our gift. This is our great covenant, to dwell together in peace, to seek the truth in love, and to help one another.
The benediction is in the words of Cynthia Landrum. We leave this gathered community, but we don't leave our connection, our concerns, our care for each other, our service to each other, to the world, and to our faith continues. Until we are together again, friends, be strong, be well, be true, be loving. Enjoy this last weekend of summer. Feel the leaves of grass on your feet. Take a breath, inhale the oxygen from the trees, exhale the carbon dioxide from your lungs back. So be it. Blessed be. Amen.
Well,